Hey, so today I'm angry at Big Pharma, and not just Big Pharma, but all pharma. Let me give you some shocking news that just came out about a week ago. There's a gentleman whose name is Philippe Douest-Blazy, and I know I'm not pronouncing it correctly because it's French. This fellow is a very credible establishment figure. He's served as the mayor of 2 French towns, and he was a candidate to lead the WHO, which you may think is a negative, but it does show him to be an establishment figure. He revealed that recently at a meeting, the editors of the 2 most prestigious medical journals in the world, The Lancet and the New England Journal of Medicine, had complained to each other that the behavior of the pharmaceutical companies was criminal. They were producing results from their clinical trials that the medical journals had no confidence in. And they described it as almost criminal behavior. And they complained that they would no longer be able to publish these big pharma results. I mean, think about the results that the study that the Lancet just published. They published the results from some company that no one's ever heard of and has refused to release their data. The credibility of the entire magazine was in question, and now we hear that the editors are complaining that they can't trust the data that they're getting from the pharmaceutical companies. If the providers of literature to the field, which is the medical journals providing information to the doctors, if they are stating that they cannot trust the study results being reported to them by pharmaceutical companies, where does that leave the data that's being pushed out to the field? Where does that put us all when our politicians are relying on these previously credible sources? I mean, this medical industry story is far more interesting than just the fact that it's corrupt. The fact that an entity is corrupt in this day and age is hardly news. But let me give you an amusing romp through some recent pharmaceutical stories, and you can get a sense of where the problem lies. This fellow may look familiar to you. His name is Martin Shkreli. They used to call him the Pharma Bro. Martin Shkreli is famous because the company that he ran at the time, called Turing Pharmaceuticals, bought the rights to a drug called Daraprim. For that pill, people had previously been paying $13. Immediately after he bought the pill, he raised the price to $750. He did lower it to $375 for some hospitals after the outcry, but the fact remains is that price skyrocketed. Surely that's an aberration, you say. No, it's not. Here's another example, insulin. Insulin was discovered by a group of fellows more than 100 years ago, and they really didn't want to patent it. I think they each got $1 for the patent. Yet, if you look at the price of insulin in the graph on the screen, you can see that it's increased 28 times since 1960. Not they've increased the price on 28 occasions, but the price is 28 times higher than it was. Not an aberration. Here's another company, Valiant Pharmaceutical. They bought the right to 2 heart drugs, Nitropress and Isuprel. The same day they bought them, one drug went up 5 times in price and the other twice. It doubled in price. Same assembly line, same people making it, nobody cared. How much worse can it get? How about this? This is a drug called imatinib. If you need this drug in the US, it's going to cost you $146,000 for 1 year's worth of this drug. In India, only $400. Apparently, somehow Novartis lost the patent rights to this drug in India, and because it only costs $200 a year for a year's supply to make, they're selling it for $400 and making a profit. Here in the States, $146,000, and I would bet that we've actually spent money to help develop this drug. How about this conflict? There's a French doctor who's been studying hydroxychloroquine, and I know there's many sighs out there at the mention of this word, but he did a study where he looked at what is the conflict between public statements of doctors against hydroxychloroquine and their being given funds by Gilead Sciences, which is the maker of remdesivir, competitive treatment. He found a correlation coefficient of 1. That means a perfect correlation for those of you who don't remember your high school statistics. And that means that the amount received from Gilead Sciences and the public opposition that the doctor put up to the use of hydroxychloroquine was 100% correlation. 100% correlation. These are no longer credible entities. We talk about reforming the police. We talk about reforming government. We need to reform the pharmaceutical industry. American taxpayers are responsible for the funding and research of many, many of the world's leading drugs, and yet we pay among the highest prices. Not only among the highest prices, in some cases, 1,000 times more than patients in other parts of the world. You've seen how much corruption there is. When you have the leading journals in the world, leading medical journals in the world, complaining about the actions of the pharmaceutical companies, how much more do we need to hear? Surely that's going to cause us to wake up.